The title of the hearing today, the administration's religious liberty assault on LGBTQ rights, is in itself, to me, a fundamental misconception of reality. To begin with, the notion that the Trump administration is somehow attacking the LGBTQ community is just wrong. The United States continues to be a world leader in guaranteeing the civil rights of all, including the LGBT community. And under President Trump, the federal government has sought to treat all Americans, gay or straight, religious, non-religious, fairly and justly. And I think even given the recent nomination of Richard Grenell as Director of National Intelligence is yet another example of that. President Trump, in my opinion, is striving to bring the rest of the world into line with our country, which provides the greatest freedoms for all of our citizens. The freedom to believe, the freedom to speak freely, freedom to pray, freedom to associate. These are freedoms that allow all Americans to live according to their deeply held beliefs and convictions. And as we all know in this room, we've had individuals who have fought and died for these rights with Americans. And I believe it's important that we continue that. And I'm deeply concerned that we're living at a time where so many seem to misunderstand the meaning of the First Amendment. I mean, we're talking about inalienable rights, rights that we as a nation fundamentally believe have been given us by God, not by government. And right at the beginning of that is the First Amendment, where we're told that Congress shall make no law establishing religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. All right, so we see that Congress cannot mandate a national religion. We get that. But we also understand from this that neither can Congress prevent Americans from practicing their faith in the public square. And fundamentally, the First Amendment protects Americans from an ideological coercion from government. And this is the rub for me. The part that becomes difficult for many of us. But I believe, and I have seen personally, tragically, that for years now we have watched religious liberties in this country be under siege and attacks, often under the false guise of fighting discrimination and enforcing tolerance. And make no mistake, discrimination is wrong. It's un-American. And to fight against discrimination is worthy. It's the right thing to do. It's honorable in every way. But the right to disagree with someone without the government interfering to promote one viewpoint over another is at the core of what the First Amendment is all about. I think Supreme Court Justice Alito had it right when he warned all of us that using anti-discrimination laws as a backdoor to, quote, stamp out every vestige of dissent, end quote, is equally just as wrong. And I believe that's precisely what is at stake here. And I know we all have different views. I respect that. But my sincere concern is that too many on the left would like to shame and vilify millions of religious Americans and thousands of faith-based organizations nationwide simply because they don't share the same liberal beliefs as those on the left. And I believe many on the left have become relentless in trying to force others to accept their own views across society. For example, in 2017, the Supreme Court ruled that individuals cannot be targeted for their religious beliefs and that open hostility to religion has no place in our society. And yet, in spite of that, Masterpiece Cake Shop owner Jack Phillips was targeted not once, not twice, but 3 times because of his deeply held religious beliefs on marriage. Barronelle Stutzman, the florist, went through similar things. There are many examples. But targeting of this nature has now expanded far beyond its initial focus on artistic expression of a baker or a florist And now the left is adopting these same tactics to create mandates forcing pharmacists to dispense chemical abortion drugs or medical professionals to perform abortions against their deeply held beliefs. Take, for example, the Little Sisters of the Poor. Obamacare forced them to provide contraceptives against their beliefs. And now that is going before the Supreme Court yet again. This is not religious freedom. And I believe that increasingly we're seeing Democrats want faith-based adoption foster care agencies to either violate their religious beliefs that it is their duty to place children in homes with moms and dads, or to shut down altogether, to do what the left wants, or to be excluded from operating in the public square. And when Catholic charities were shut down in Illinois, there were nearly 3,000 children displaced. So whatever our political or cultural views, I think surely we can all agree that vilifying well-intentioned and loving charities like faith-based foster homes does not help anyone. But this assault on religious liberties is certainly not confined to faith-based organizations all across America now. From schoolrooms to social media platforms, we're seeing social justice crusades increase against those who have not accepted the new cultural norms of the left. We saw, for example, when the Obama administration adopted the change to Title IX to impose gender identity mandates on federally funded schools. We saw many Christian colleges and universities trying to keep their exempt status, only to find themselves placed on shame lists where they have experienced massive pressure campaigns to relinquish their long-held religious beliefs on sexuality. In Florida, there's an activist campaign underway to attack and defund Christian schools that participate in educational tax credit programs. And those companies who support these scholarships of underprivileged children to get a better education, those companies themselves are experiencing massive pressure to defund these schools. And it's only the kids who end up suffering. Currently, the Virginia General Assembly is poised to adopt sexual orientation and gender identity legislation that I believe will severely impair freedom in religious schools. And unfortunately, I believe when all is said and done here, these are nothing but measures that open the door for government-mandated discrimination and coercion. And so this hearing really, to me, is an attempt really to polarize what has always been a unifying factor in American society and culture, and that is religious freedom. The right for everyone to live and express their beliefs in the public square. And in closing, I again just want to say thank you to each of you who are here, and for those who will be joining the next panel. I know without question we're going to hear some moving and compelling stories, and many of you have been through some very difficult times and have experienced discrimination, and for that I am deeply sorry. That kind of behavior should never happen in America, and you should never have experienced it. But at the same time, I wonder, where are the other witnesses, individuals who have lost virtually everything they've had because they have tried to stand for their religious beliefs and live according to those beliefs in the public square? And so I thank you, Madam Chair, for holding this hearing. Mike Kelly, thank you for being here today to share your perspective. Hiram Sasser, I'm looking forward to hearing as well. And to each of you, I want to thank you, and I look forward to our time together. And with that, I yield back.